another one of the granddaughters to come forward, Cindy Walker. Public speaking is not my forte, so bear with me. I had a hard time pulling this together. There were so many thoughts that I had, and it didn't come easily to me. So it might appear kind of random. There are just some things I wanted to share about my grandma. I heard recently, within the past couple weeks, that most people are remembered only 2 generations after they leave this earth. And I thought, wow, I hope that's not the case with my grandma Evelyn, because she was such a beautiful person with so many wonderful characteristics. And I hope that my children will keep her memory alive and share her good characteristics so that they can be passed down. I am very proud of the woman that I came from, and I just hope that we can always keep that alive. One thing I learned from Grandma, and I'm sure all the grandchildren and her children will agree with this, Grandma was environmental long before being environmental was the right thing to be. I never saw her waste anything. She took care of everything, meticulous care of everything. And I learned that from her. I'm not good at it. I don't have things nearly as long as Grandma was able to keep them. And but I think she was just amazing that way. And I know last night I was peeling apples for the apple pies that I made today. And I thought, Grandma would be disappointed because I just couldn't get them thin. She always, if you peel potatoes at Grandma's house, you had to bake, and I just was like, I'm sick of this, and it was much thicker than it should have been. But that's just a thought I had as I spent the last weeks of Grandma's life down there on the weekends. I just looked around in her home, and I thought how content she was, and how unlike that is many of us today. I saw pictures that had been there ever since I was a child. And I just looked and I thought, oh, she was just contented. She took care of everything, and she didn't always have to have the latest of anything. And I looked at the waterfall picture my parents had given her, and I just thought, wow, she kept that up for how many years? And I was just amazed by that. I couldn't say the same for myself. I get tired of things, I take them down, I get something else, and but her simplicity, I think, would be something for me to try and emulate. Another thought I have about my grandma is that, and I think this is a biggie in today's world amongst women, I can never remember a time that my grandma wasn't dressed like a lady. Never saw her wear anything immodest. Never saw her act inappropriately around another man. And when you work in an office, you see a lot of things. And a lot of unnecessary comments that shouldn't be said amongst married people. And I'm proud to say that I never saw my grandma immodestly dressed. I never saw her act inappropriately with another male. And I think that's just a true testimony to my grandma's character and her authenticity in the Lord. What a legacy. And I would encourage all of us as granddaughters and daughters to uphold that legacy. And I hope that's something that doesn't end in 2 generations down the road. The other thought I had was that my grandma, she never took advantage of anyone. And there's a country song out right now, I don't name the name of it, but there's a line that says, "We don't take a dime if we have not earned it." And wow, I think there's a lot of people who need to internalize that in this give me world today. And Grandma was never like that. And she shared a story with me one time of having gone to the food pantry. And I said, well, my word, Grandma, you were surely, entitled to that. She said, Cynthia, I couldn't eat the food. I had to give it away. And yeah, you know about, she was so deserving of that, but in her eyes, she wasn't. And it's just a lot to think about. The other thing is family. And I think this is gold. And Eva, you had alluded to this in Lisa's letter. She had an open door policy. Didn't matter how long it was since you had been there. It didn't matter, like Lisa said, what you had done. When you ran to Grandma, her door was always open, and she just always made you feel like you were welcome. I think of her devotion as she shared with me in those last weeks of her life. Her devotion to her father. Despite some of the struggles in the family, was amazing. I don't know if I could have done the same. And I just thought that, again, was just a testimony to who my grandma was. And I read something this past week. I was out at one of the stores, and I saw this thing that says a family is like a quilt. Each person's a piece of the quilt, and there is a life story within it. Sometimes the stitches come undone, and you just have to restitch it to keep it all together. And I think that depicts the Klein family and what happened also and what Lisa had alluded to in her letter. And family really is a beautiful thing, and I don't think any of us should take it for granted.